I was home for the summer and playing summer baseball for the Portland Titans, which was actually a team that I didn't really want to play for, and somehow I ended up on that team anyway. And in the end, it was one of the best things that happened in my life. And part of the reason why is because I met, first of all, I met a guy on the team that I was playing with named Kurt, and we became pretty good friends. Hung out off the field. We played shortstop, second base together, and so we just had a good connection. Fast forward a couple games in, and this really gorgeous blonde comes to the field, and of course I notice her from shortstop, and I don't think anything of it because I figure that's somebody's girlfriend. But anyway, I find out later on that it's Kurt's sister. A couple nights later, Kurt sends me a text, "Hey, you want to come over, hang out? Some of the guys are coming over." And I text him back and said, "No, I don't think so. I gotta work early in the morning. I think I'll just call it a night." Kurt replies with, "Well, my sister really wants to meet you." And at that moment I said, "Hey, I'll be right over." And that was kind of how it started with Corey and I. We ended up hanging out most of the summer, and at that point I was ready to go all in. I was ready to propose, to say I love you, to do all those things. And it was like 3 days since we had met, and Corey, she had other ideas, and she kind of dropped a little bit of a bomb on me when she said, I'm leaving during the summer to go travel. And so I wanted to get as much time spent with her as I could before she took off.
And then I had to break it to him that I was getting out of this place and I was headed to South Africa, where I would be learning all about HIV and AIDS, being involved in the city and the rural areas for hospitals, clinics, all sorts of things. It was a fabulous trip, something that I will obviously never ever forget, and it's a place, like many of you guys know, that will always have a piece of my heart in one way or another. But when I came back, Ty, I think, was ready to dive right back in, and I was not. So I kind of had to break it to him that I still wanted to travel, I still wanted to finish nursing school, and that we should just be some good friends and keep it at that. Come Thanksgiving, he was really excited to see me, meet a couple of my girlfriends. So he invited us to a friend's house, and I think he was really excited because he decided to have just a few beverages before we arrived, and he just about mauled me when I first arrived with like hugs and kisses, and I had to tell him, let's take a step back there, Ty. Next thing you know, he, well, like I had always thought, said, I love you. I had to turn to him and I had to say, I don't think you love me, Ty, but I think it's a good time for you to go home now. He decided to leave. He texted me either that night or the next morning and said, any chance we still can hang out? And I said,
I said, I apologize for how I acted. Is there any way we could hang out another night during Thanksgiving break? And you said? I said,
probably not. I knew that there were still other things in my life that I needed to do before I made any sort of big commitment. So we stayed in touch through that whole winter. We saw each other, I think it was over New Year's, and then it wasn't until baseball season rolled around that things kind of picked up a little more.
And she mentioned she wanted to come watch me play baseball. I was totally blown away because I thought I had blown my chances, and it wasn't ever going to happen again for me and Corey. So when she said, I want to come down and watch you play, I was excited. I was, ready to play the best game of my life. And of course, my first game, my senior year, Corey's coming down the next day. I took an 86-mile-an-hour fastball to the mouth, and it just blew my lip up, made my teeth crooked. I ended up getting 25 stitches and just looked like Frankenstein or something. And I called her the next day or texted her and I said, you know what, you probably shouldn't come to the game. That wasn't good enough because I couldn't really convince her not to come. And deep down, I wanted her to still be there. I just felt, I felt bad that I was looking the way I was looking and that I wasn't going to play the rest of the weekend. We ended up meeting up with one of my buddies, and she had one of her girlfriends with her, and so we went out to eat. And our story really picks up kind of at the end of that dinner.
The whole time I remember telling Kelsey, I think he's got a girlfriend. Like, he really doesn't want me to go, because at first He had mentioned he got hit by a pitch, but it wasn't that he's got a busted lip. That's not, that was the reason why he didn't want me to come necessarily. So I was pretty set on the fact that, darn it, I think he's got a girl, and maybe I missed that time after the dinner. For whatever reason, I should take this back just a step, but I think I knew the summer before, but I just wasn't ready. And then this time around, I think I was ready. So right before he took off to head back to his game, I gave him a little kiss on the cheek, and Ty kind of ran off.
At that point, I knew that I was back in.
Shortly after, I decided that it was my turn to travel yet again and leave Ty behind just for a little while longer. That bug never goes away. My girlfriend and I traveled to 9 different countries in Europe, and we enjoyed a nice, lovely summer, and we just kind of built our relationship from afar at that point, and then we came back and picked it up just like that.
I think it's one thing as we look back on our relationship that both those trips, they really strengthened our relationship, our trust in each other, and really helped lay a foundation to who we are together and our strengths. And so when she got back from Europe, it was that point that I was like, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that she's going to be my wife one day. I was ready to propose, and so I worked up the energy, even though I had known her for a couple years at this point, known her family is wonderful. Asking her parents and brother for their blessing on our marriage was one of the most nerve-wracking things I've ever done, even though it should have been so easy. But I did, and of course they gave me their blessing, and I basically made this full day of a proposal where we hit all these spots that were important to our relationship. Things that we did together, University of Portland, Linfield College, 2 places where we were at when we met. And then at the very end of it, it all culminated to a trip to the Columbia River Gorge and Hood River Lavender Farm, which is the place that we had spent a number of weekends together, and a place that we really enjoyed. And I had commandeered my buddy Jordan to hide in the bushes and capture the proposal moment, and he did a fantastic job, and really got a good special moment for us when I proposed that day up in Hood River.
So we got married that next year, August of 2012. Fast forward the next year, we decided to travel again, this time together, and take a big trip. We went to Southeast Asia, and part of it was just for ourselves, but the other part was also volunteering. So we were able to participate in something that we both enjoy, something that I think the Lord is calling us to do at that point.
So after we got back from Southeast Asia, we really enjoyed our trip. It was my first time traveling internationally. We loved traveling together. It really strengthened our marriage, and we loved meeting new people, trying new things, experiencing new places, doing the volunteer work. But when we got back to Vancouver, we felt like there was still something missing with our travels, and we really wanted to figure out what our next journey in life was going to be.
So after lots of thoughts and prayers, we believe that the Lord's been calling us to go pick up that piece of my heart that I left behind in South Africa.
We started our adoption process about a year ago, and so at that point we applied, and they said you're not married long enough, so we waited, applied again, and they said sorry, the program's closed. We had to wait till the following fall. However, they called us last spring and said someone dropped out of the program, let's get you guys in, let's get the process going. And so we have been getting fingerprints, doing background checks, we've been doing education hours, we've been working with our social worker, doing home studies, and at this point we're just waiting for a few things to finalize, and then we'll be getting to the next step. But we're just really excited to share this part of our journey with you guys. We're about halfway through where we need to be, and we couldn't be more excited to be parents to somebody that we don't know yet. For those of you that were in on our secret for the past year, thanks for keeping it a secret. And for those of you just joining us on our journey, welcome, and thank you for the prayers and the support.